We are live, ladies and gentlemen. We're not live at all. This is a goddamn podcast. My name's Dylan Gott. I'm with John Hastings. This is the Wrestler Review. We're back with a live episode. I've recovered from COVID-22, and I'm ready to talk about Dutch Mantell. But first, we will talk about another man who is annoying. John's going to explain to me, and maybe you already know this, but why is Elon Musk buying Twitter a bad thing?
Well, it'll become, it's not, it will be then, it's a social media website that we're all on that's at the whim of one guy. That's what it is. It will no longer be a public company. It'll be a private company. He's just a shit poster who uses it to inflate Bitcoin stocks.
His investments, yeah.
Yeah, so this is the thing, is it's more than likely, as I've gleamed understanding by asking exactly one person and reading 3 articles, basically what it is he's doing it to inflate his value in the stock. He's doing it because he does want to control Twitter, because if you're the richest man in the world, it would be very valuable to basically control the means of media, which is Twitter. Like,
yeah, control thought.
Exactly. Like Donald Trump ruled the world because every 2 minutes he'd be like, Megyn Kelly's a fat bitch, and also club sandwiches are fucking cool, bro. Like,
can you turn your mic down a bit?
No.
Good. Refusal?
Absolutely not. Is it any lower?
Is it any lower? I don't know.
I can't tell.
It doesn't feel any lower, but you know what? I'm a hot guy. It'll level out in post. That's what they say.
I think that is what they say. I'm now very worried. Oh, hang on. Now, how's that? Is that better?
That feels better.
Okay, good. I'm now very worried.
We keep it in as a podcast, buddy. Elon Musk on Twitter is not going to affect this wrestling podcast.
No, but it is like the first thing that'll happen is Donald Trump will get his Twitter account back, and then like a bunch of wildness. Like we'll just be back to where we were in 2018, or we'll be back to where we were in America.
Elon Musk sometimes is just like fucking. He can't say anything nowadays. Me, a white guy.
Exactly, is what it is. It's all not real. It's all not real. It's all just he wants as little regulation happening at the federal level, so his companies can do fucking crazy shit. Like,
yeah.
Listen, I am not a fucking like capitalism, but it's like, hey, Elon Musk, you're not allowed to just blow up rockets in California and then be like, you pay for it. Like, Elon Musk got angry at California because they're like, you don't have the right to make your workers work in a factory during COVID. And he's like, I do actually. And they were like, you don't. And then he was like, well, then I'm leaving and you'll be upset. And they're like, that'll actually improve our tax base because you don't pay any taxes. You don't understand how economics work. And he's like, well, good luck. I'll be in Texas. And then he goes to Texas and they're like, our power grid cannot support what you want to do. And he's like, I'll go back to California. And then he had to just keep a bunch of things in California. Like he's just it's one of those things where what happens if you give a guy who grew up the heir to an emerald fortune a bunch of money, and people are just like, Elon Musk came online in a time where we're like, we need an alternative to all these other evil rich people. And he's just like, I wear a t-shirt and I smoke weed. And everyone's like, good enough for us. Let's go. And it's like, no, he's also a piece of shit. He's also a giant piece of shit who he doesn't like Peter Thiel, not because Peter Thiel is a proto-fascist bag of shit. He doesn't like Peter Thiel because he's like, he thinks up the ideas first. That's through Elon Musk is like, I'll tell you why I don't like Hitler. He stole my very good idea. Not saying that Elon Musk is anti-Semitic, but Elon Musk does love a well-organized train.
He's a white guy from South Africa.
Never mind.
Dude, white guys in South Africa, here's how racist South Africa is. They have a word worse than the N-word.
Yeah.
So much so that there's some white guys from South Africa who do fucking comedy, and he was like, I don't understand why I can't say that word, and I would never say this other word. It's way worse. And I was like, then there's two. Why does there only have to be one word you should?
This is the thing that I never understand. This is also
maybe you shouldn't say a bunch of words because it makes you an asshole.
This is the thing that I get this too as comedians, but comedians of all things, we value what we do way more. Like, we think of it as
very funny,
rare uranium, and it's styrofoam. Like, it's just like, it's just on top of stuff and it doesn't go away. And it's just like, dude, last night someone was like, we were talking about something, and someone was just like, yeah, but we were talking about Donald Trump getting his Twitter back. And I was just like, it was just annoying because it just, every 20 minutes he would just write something insane and everyone would react to it. But then it's like, but nothing ever actually happened. Like, if you actually think
he was
about,
just saying crazy shit, and then everyone would talk about the crazy shit he would said, and then he would do crazy shit. But he'd be like, yeah, but it's more fun to talk about the crazy shit that he said rather than like the fact that he's like trying to fuck with Palestine and Israel. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's more fun to talk about that crazy shit than being like, hey, you know how Saudi Arabia has just full-blown slavery? And it's like, he's looking to bring that back to America. You're like, oh, God.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, I want to concentrate not on foreign policy, but on basically making some of the states in this union extinct.
Yeah.
And a man who kind of agrees with him, Dutch Mantell.
I got to tell you this about Dutch Mantell. I love Dutch Mantell. Here's why I love Dutch Mantell. When we started talking about Elon Musk at the beginning of Dutch Mantell's episode, is that I guarantee Dutch Mantell does not like Elon Musk. Here's the reason. He's like, he's got dry hair, and you don't smoke pot on television. That's a thing you do after you've done your work. That was a daytime record. He was not done his work. Like, Dutch Mantell is your stepdad that you can be like, I don't agree with him politically, and I do not follow him on Facebook, but I can tell you who can grill a steak. Stepdad Dutch Mantell.
It's crazy how small Dutch Mantell's career was, just because.
Well, it is and it isn't.
He is Yosemite Sam, but he wrestles. Like, I don't understand how Yosemite Sam, but wrestling.
Say that name again.
This guy's
Yosemite. It's Yosemite. You psychopath.
No, it's Yosemite.
I will quit this podcast. It's Yosemite.
Quit it. Quit then.
Okay, well.
Quit.
I will. Are you excited? Are you ready for me to?
Yeah, of course. John's out finally. This is the Dylan God experience.
That was terrible. That was terrible.
Sam.
It was there. No, fuck you. Yosemite. There we go. Continue with what you were saying about Yosemite Sam, Dutch Mantell. He's like
Yosemite Sam, Dutch Mantell.
I will clog your toilet. I will clog it.
Clearly, as a man who wanted to make money, he grew up dirt poor in South Carolina. He did what Vince McMahon did, who's in the exact same circumstances, growing up dirt poor in South Carolina, which was, yeah, I don't really love this thing, but I'm making money. I'm going to keep on doing it. And also, when you're that poor, when you grow up that poor, oddly, like, the idea of having a solid job and the idea of just doing something that's a gig over and over again are as scary, because you've seen people. Every poor town is that way because the mill laid everyone off one day. So you aren't under the illusion that some company's going to just hire you for 600 years.
Also, to Dutch, the idea that someone bought him an airplane ticket and he can get up at 11 a.m., I guarantee he's just like, why would I do anything else? Like, bear in mind, Dutch Mantell was in the war in Vietnam, does not bring it up, never let them portray him as an army character. So that basically means Vietnam. What did I say?
Yosemite. Continue.
Oh, did I? You went to the war in Yosemite. It was versus me and Dylan over pronunciation. I fucking hate that laugh, and your wife should leave you over it.
Oh, my wife will leave me fucking sandwiches if she knows what's good for her. Continue.
She will. I'm going to play this piece for her, and you're going to get punched in the face by a sandwich. She'll punch.
Yeah,
she'll literally
fucking guys are everywhere.
That is true. Your sexual kink is punch deli meats into my mouth. It is very weird to go to Subway with Dylan. Yeah, hi. Hold the bread. Spread the meat. Put the meat in the toaster. Where's your bathroom? Dylan says.
Double meat. Make the sandwich slow.
Yeah, double meat, no sauce. Describe the contours of the ham. Is the ham fleshy? Speaking of Vietnam.
Honest to God, straight up, make my sandwich look like a pussy. I'll be in the bathroom jacking off to what I just said. Whoa, 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 whoa. Continue.
So, your friend and mine, Dutch pissbag Mantell.
That's good.
Goes to the war in Vietnam. I guarantee murders a lot of people reprehensibly, and is just like never working that hard again. Just can't, like, one of those things of like didn't do anything awful, but was just in a lot of battles, and then just like definitely ended up killing some people, and was like, I'm done. I'm gonna just have a fun job.
Let's not say people, children. Probably he probably killed kids.
He probably killed children, but that was it. He probably. Yeah. Like he'd be like, let's be honest. If you're in
That's
Vietnam,
what happened in that war. Like people talk about, Vietnam flashbacks. That's funny, but they get those flashbacks because a kid killed their friend and then they killed that kid. That's two of the worst things that could ever happen to a
and then
human being.
it was still 9 a.m. The other thing with Vietnam, a lot of daytime murder. Like it's so much more.
And then you had to go to then you had to walk through the mud.
Yeah, you were then muddy, and then had to go have a Vietnamese coffee, which is too sweet. It's too sweet after you've murdered after you had a bunch of kids to be like,
Jesus Christ,
this is too much clarified milk. They'd say
it must be fucked. Watching for any Vietnam vets who are really fucked from that to watch like all these nerds make Platoon and then
you know completely. I mean? You know who should have stopped making? This is going to be I knew this episode was going to go everywhere because I'm like, he's fought in Vietnam. Dylan and I are going to get waylaid in doing Vietnam soldier impressions. We're going to talk about how Oliver Stone should have died in the 90s because Oliver Stone now comes across like his JFK documentary that I watched on Showtime is so like it. You're rooting. You're rooting for the bullet. You're rooting for you're like, kill this fuck.
I like how.
And two, you're so just like, yeah, I think Lee Harvey Oswald did it. Like it's actually that thing where you're like, mostly because Oliver, you suck at making documentaries and you suck at narrating. John Fitzgerald Kennedy was the finest president. Like, it's just fuck off. And also, like, he sucks. He's one of those people that calls marijuana pot and thinks he's so fucking impressive for still smoking it in the daytime. And I guarantee he has a Japanese mistress just so he can be super racist towards Southeast Asians. I guarantee he has a Japanese mistress. And I don't know why it's Japanese, but I know it is.
Also, it was on Showtime, which is dope because that means the Showtime executive was like, yeah, we like the little bullet documentary. We're going to have to see some tits. I've got Susan Sarandon's daughter here. She's got the finest fucking pair of milkers I've ever seen. We're just going to splash those in a couple times.
Oliver, is there any way we can work Bobby Axelrod into this documentary? Can we talk quickly about how Billions continues to be the millennial entourage in that it's just literally just now like, watch this stout man and this bald guy tersely talk. Like it's so.
Oh, are they still doing that show?
Oh, buddy.
I stopped watching it. Like that was a show that I would say watched because it was one of those shows where I was like, it was on while I was using my phone. Do you know one of those?
Yeah, exactly. But that's all television to me. And Billions is the best version of that in that it's literally stopped making sense. The entire show was about Bobby Axelrod versus Chuck Rhodes. Spoiler alert, Bobby Axelrod no longer on the show. There's just a whole new guy.
Not on the show.
No longer on the show.
I like that guy found a new thing to do before Paul Giamatti did. Paul Giamatti, once guy who like we thought was going to win an Oscar, is now like, yeah, I'll just
no. Do you want to know why? Do you want to know why Paul Giamatti's doing that show? This is why I respect Paul Giamatti more than anything.
He likes money.
You know the house that's his house in that show?
Yes.
That's next door to his actual house. He's like, he lives in New York, and he's like, I want to shoot this amount a year. I want this amount of money, and that's it. And they're like, Paul Giamatti, you got it. And he's like, fucking great. Like that. That's Paul Giamatti's just like,
he goes next door for a minute.
He goes next door for 20 minutes and then heads home. Like it's so like, and then because you're always like, they spend a lot of time at Paul Giamatti's house in like 2 of the seasons. And I'm like, this is so weird. And then you look up, it's like Paul Giamatti lives next door and is literally just like, I'll talk about Lincoln for a bit near fucking Damian Lewis. I don't give a shit. My dad fucking used to own baseball. I'm Paul fucking, you know how big my dick is? I'm Paul Giamatti.
That's so funny. This is the interesting thing about wrestling versus entertainment, where it's like entertainment, this guy's parents and family for sure had money because he had to go to like 6 years of theater school to get all these connections to become an actor. Wrestling, this guy was raised inside a dirt sandwich, and he just basically emerged from the dirt saying, I'll play fight, please give me money. And then Bill Watts said, sounds good, let's trade him.
Yeah, what's the best part about the entire thing is this. He basically was not trained. He and Bobby Heenan both have this story of basically they just showed up and they were like, yep, we need someone. And he's like, how do you do this? And they're like, what, get the shit kicked out of you by a man in your 40s? Well, you're about to learn that there's really anyway works with that. Like that's the thing that's so crazy about Dutch Mantell is he sort of comes at this very weird moment that no one talks about.
So he was trained by 3 people, one of which you guys know, and 2 of which I'm so excited.
Yeah, one of them, David Duke.
Dickie Steinborn.
Yeah.
Dickie Steinborn. Jody Hamilton, of course, one of the assassins.
Hell yeah.
And then Ted Oates, who he says he thinks went on to sell cars. I don't know how to tell you this, but that man was
Killed by Dutch Mantell. Dutch
Daryl
Mantell,
Oates'
that's
dad. Yeah,
yeah. Daryl Oates is dead, or went on to found Hall and Oates.
that's what I mean. That was Daryl Oates.
Yeah, but his
No,
name
wait,
was
no,
Tim.
damn it! It was John Oates and Daryl Hall. All right,
I thought it
maybe-
was.
maybe
I thought it
got
was
it
John
fucking-
Hall and I think it is Daryl Oates. It's not John Oates.
Oh, it's Daryl Hall, isn't it?
I look it up while I sing Man Eater. Man Eater gonna hit for
We gotta get this part. Is
Yeah, we do
Daryl
not ever
Hall.
look up wrestling information, but we look up.
Daryl Hall is a singer.
It's Daryl Oates, you little fuck. No, it isn't. Oh no, it's Daryl Hall and John Oates. You're 100% correct. You're more than 100% correct. You're
Daryl
totally
Hall,
correct.
John Oates. Thank you very much. I've been proven right again.
You have been proven
specifically
right?
about John Oates. Anyway, and then he catches on with Ray goddamn Gunkel.
Yes.
He gets a tryout match for what he
Also, I'm going to
considers
say
a
this right now:
double
the
an
army
salary.
doesn't pay enough.
And-
The army doesn't pay enough. If double your salary, if double
Is
your
what-
salary,
What Ray Gunkel will offer you?
yeah.
would be
If
like,
if territory
"You're
wrestling
fat.
promote, yeah,
I'm
territory
fat,
wrestling.
Ricky, don't fucking call me fat.
Yeah.
You're fat, Ricky. Go, fuck. Your wife's got a loose pussy, you fucking cocksucker. Anyway, that's my job. I'm done. I'm done for the day.
I'm Ray Gunkel. I think so. Ray Gunkel is the husband of Ann Gunkel, who then went on to start the territory war that Jim Barnett was brought back from Australia to win. So Dutch Mantell is, again, it's this weird thing that you'll notice throughout his career, in that he kind of weirdly arrives right before, like he kind of gets his foot in the door at sort of an opportune moment. So he's just in a period of big shift. He's kind of just around. He's not been there forever that he's loyal to anyone, but he's been around enough that you kind of just have to keep him around. Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
Okay.
so look at him if you look at sort of his territorial run, he's in and around Atlanta in Georgia Championship Wrestling he starts with the Gunkel Boys.
That is quite a sentence.
He starts with he gets gunk on him.
He gets all covered in fucking
1970
gunk.
He gets covered in fucking gunk in 1972. He starts popping into an All-South Wrestling in 1973, 1974, and then pops back in by 1976 as Dutch Mantell. So I was slightly wrong. So he basically, that's the territory wartime. So he pops in, as established as Wade and Cowan, like who gives a fuck, heads out to another territory, sort of starts building the Dirty Dutch Mantell character, which is just this guy has not shaved his back, and he should have shaved his back.
Mm-hmm.
And now he's back in Georgia Championship Wrestlings in 1976, and away we go.
Yes, and he learns a lot about booking, which he does extensively.
Well, he also
from
ends
Eddie
up
Graham.
in two of the three big here's how you learn how to book territories, being Texas in the 70s with Gary Hart, or Florida in the 70s with fucking ventilation head Eddie Graham. Oh, what an insensitive thing to say. Shot himself in the face.
Really?
I think that's how he died. Or was that Mike Graham? Is Mike Graham? Yeah, I was about to say something.
Mike
very
Graham
mean.
killed himself in his son's boots.
Yeah, that's
Eddie Graham was his dad, who also
killed himself. He also shot himself. The Graham family is like, what's that? You think you're sad by the Von Erichs? These guys died in a much more horrific way, and no one remembers, which doubly makes it worse.
Yep, a long history of depression. Plus, you add a soupçon of I won't go to
Florida,
a therapist.
just Florida. Just throw in
Yeah.
Florida. Yeah, welcome. I've been to Florida. Let me tell you this about Florida. Florida is a place where Dylan Gott would thrive, because it's a place where it's like there's no rules and we're cool with it. And Dylan loves just an unstructured situation. He can wear his outfits, can walk around.
I can finally be myself wearing my outfits.
He can talk about. He can just be quiet. You know what I mean? By the way, doing a podcast with Dylan, it's like your business partner is one of the Golden Girls. He just wants quiet and to have carbs at night.
Yeah, I'm a golden guy.
Yeah.
I'm one of the golden guys.
You are. You certainly are. You're Bruce. That's the male version of Blanche. Because you're a
I
slut.
was like the Golden Girls. I remember seeing it on television and being like just getting creeped out and changing the channel.
It's fucking good, man. I watched a lot of Golden Girls and Frasier in the COVID pandemic lockdown, and I'll tell you,
No.
this is every episode. Dorothy walks in, stern rudeness. Blanche, I just fucked. Rose, I am so stupid, it is criminally impossible. Sophia says something funny. That's the end of the show. That's every show. And then occasionally they'll just be like, we got to deal with an issue. One of our granddaughters came in. I have my period and I'm gay. Dorothy's upset. Blanche is cool with it. Rose doesn't understand. Sophia shows everyone the way. End of episode.
Exactly. You can't have your period if you're gay. End of episode. Reagan rules.
Yeah. Welcome
Reagan
to Dutch
era.
Mantell's 70s sitcom from Atlanta. Doing it the Dutch way. Any girl who has a period in my house owes me $80. Reagan.
Shave your back, fuck your pussy. The Dutch Mantell way. Good night, everybody.
If a woman makes you change your facial hairstyle that just happened improvisationally, that is her stealing your essence, and you'll no longer have fat loads. Dutch Mantell.
Here's what I like about Dutch Mantell. He starts working in Puerto Rico, where he for sure will make most of his money. He has a unique gimmick when you first go to Puerto Rico, where they put a $1,000 silver, all in silver coins at the stake on the team that could beat them. Dutch came up with that idea on the hop. When Carlos called him into his office and asked Mantell what he wanted to do, which he'd never been asked before, Mantell said, put up $1,000, and it was Colon who added it be silver dollars, as they don't have silver dollars in Puerto Rico. And that gimmick really, really worked. He, of course, is still weirdly, he's kind of like a middling guy in America. He even wrestles as Don Kent in 1974, so he still very much doesn't have his character down.
But he gets a toehold in Puerto Rico, and the other thing that's important to remember about Dutch Mantell is Dutch Mantell fought in a war. So if the Colones are like, oh, if you don't do this, we'll stab you, Dutch Mantell will go, you know what I mean? Bruiser Brody, a man who's known for being violent, was like, Bruiser, can I talk to you in the shower? And Bruiser Brody, the rest of us would be like, sure. And Dutch Mantell would be like, okay, first, and then just cock a shotgun. And they're like, where'd you get that shotgun? And he's like, I don't know. I got it.
Why are you talking to me in the shower? Would be his first
Yeah, his first thing would be
in front of everybody. You're gonna do this. Whatever you're gonna do, you're gonna do it in front of everybody.
Do it in front of everybody. Yeah, exactly. Here's the thing about all wrestling, and it's also true about stand-up comedy, which is, do you want to be just able to maintain a career in either wrestling or stand-up comedy? Just go and do another job for 5 years beforehand, and you are literally more competent than 90% of the comedians and 60% of all people working in the industry. Because it's literally well, I, at one point in my life, had a job where I'd get fired if I was late, so I'd just show up on time, and people would be like, someone give this guy a bonus. He wasn't asleep at 7 p.m. inexplicably.
So Mantell achieved his greatest, his high point really was 1979, when Cowboy Frankie Lane and him sold out the 16,000-seat Hiram Bithorn Stadium in Puerto Rico for 9 weeks in a row. And
oh my God, the violence! All you hear about
Cowboy,
the Puerto.
You guys, I don't like that. Fuck you, sicky cock, suck my cock, lick my ass. I'm never shaving my back. I'll pay to see this man die.
I just think about what it must have been like to go to those matches. I just think about what it must have been like to go to those matches where it's literally Dutch Mantell is stood in front of a sea of people who have brought rocks. All the wrestlers describe oh, I remember wrestling in Puerto Rico. As we were getting towards the stadium, I saw a bunch of people kill a police horse. It's just, you're yeah.
Dude, you can watch old Bruiser Brody. I got one of the DVDs I bought at some fan convention there was Bruiser Brody versus Abdullah the Butcher, and they don't have a barrier between the fans and them.
It
they
is
just have a rope.
insane how long
the
it took.
Military with AKs.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
and
why wouldn't
and they're legit fucking gun butting the audience back.
Yeah, this is the thing that's crazy about wrestling. It took until WrestleMania for them to be like, we should probably put a fence up between the fans and these performers, right? And I guarantee there's territory guys that are like, I'll tell you what ruined wrestling. When the fans couldn't get into the ring and try and stab you with a poison blade.
But this is the weird thing where Dutch Mantell clearly is a dude who will just go farther Make him hate me. All right, I'll just say some buck wild shit. Whereas
Yeah,
a
I
lot
don't
of people are like scared, and he's like, "No, I'm already dead." We're
Yeah,
all
like, but
dead.
he's like,
I've killed 6 kids in one day.
yeah.
I'll call these guys whatever slur you want me.
Yeah, it's again, Dutch Mantell is like, bear in mind, 7 years ago, I was cleaning the blood out beneath my fingernails after I had to bash the skull in of a 16-year-old who was about to kill my colonel. So, yeah, I'll get in the ring and be like, Puerto Rico, P.U. You know what I mean?
Puerto Rico.
Oh my God, imagine, Dylan. I gotta say,
I'd
you
be
and I
stabbed.
could really get some territorial heat if we were a tag team.
I mean,
Please
we can do
welcome
me now.
the people from a coast.
John, with how we look, get a bit of steroids in us, and then we just form a tag team called the Comment Section. And
Oh
then
my
fucking
God.
Just whore, slut, not
Yeah.
even funny. Seen it before.
Just
Good.
pointing at the Young Bucks. Hitler, 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 Hitler. And they'd be like, we do agree with some of the things he says. And I was like, what?
Oh, yeah. We come out to peanut butter jelly time on a loop. It'd be good.
Here's what oh my God. Yeah, we just come out to Malahi, Malahi.
That's good.
Malahi.
So
Yeah,
1980 fucking shitty fucking 2, Dutch
Holy
Mantell and
shit.
Jerry the fuck Lawler.
Oh my
They faced
God.
off, good guy versus good guy. One guy thought the age of consent should be lowered to 11, the other one 10. They're both baby faces.
Yeah, exactly. In Memphis. But Dutch Mantell, by the way, only feels that way because he thinks 10-year-olds should go in the army. Dutch Mantell is like,
If
you're old-
kill, they're good. They get in the smoke.
yeah. If you're old enough to be killed by me, you're old enough to join the army. Also, I would just like to say this. If Dutch Mantell is listening, I am so sorry. I'm so sorry, Dutch. I'm really sorry.
Yeah, we should be very sorry. Anyway, Dutch Mantell was also the first male act that Jim Cornette managed.
Yes, he
which is
was.
pretty dope.
When Jim Cornette would manage one wrestler a week because his mom would buy the services of the wrestler for Jim Cornette.
What a great idea.
It is such a good gimmick that they've never done since. Like, I don't understand why they do not do that. Also, or what I don't understand, I was thinking about this after our chat episode that we did yesterday, is why they don't have an angle in AEW of just one wrestler being like, Tony Khan, you're a little bitch. You're just using your dad's money. Like, if they did that, that guy, it would be huge, but Tony Khan would be like, no, it's too hurtful.
I think Dan Lambert did the version of that in the American Top Team guy. He definitely said some of that. Like
he said
definitely
some of it.
Tony Khan is like, Tony Khan's a rich kid who's just hiring his action figures. Like he said something.
Yeah,
like
but again, I love, by the way, the American Top Team guy said that, where it's like, yeah, and by the way, you know who's benefiting the most from that is you, American Top Team. This isn't MMA. Why are you here? And why do you look like you definitely were just
really
smoking?
He really likes it. He really likes being a wrestler, and he was like, they're also in Florida, so they probably know each other from Florida. Good for him.
Agree with me that guy looks like he was smoking, though. That guy looks like he just kept smoking. He is always.
He looks like a cigarette. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, no, but like he looks like the guy is like, yeah, I smoke. Like in the same way when you find out Randy Orton smokes, you're like, that's the piece that I was missing from this guy. Of course you do. Like
fucking Randy Orton fucking rules.
I mean, Randy, like so many things in our friendship. I'm angry at you for being so right, in that all I want to see is Randy Orton debut on AEW with his old like, hey, man, I do the bay,
white trunks to show the dick off.
Oh, translucent trunks, just showing how fat his dick is. Marlboro Reds
trunks.
Oh my God, all he does is just
the
RKO
Sandman
people.
We deserve.
Oh my God, yeah, translucent trunks. All he does is RKO Britt Baker. That's all he's just challenging for the women's title.
He only wants to fight women. The real Orton.
They're the only ones that are on my level, he'll say. Also, he's constantly shitting in bags backstage. Like he's shitting in Tony Khan's bag. Like he shits on Jim Ross during a show. He shits in Excalibur's mask and makes him wear it. Has a goatee.
Pretty well. Anyway, Dutch Mantell takes over as Booker of Florida in 1984 because Dusty Rhodes guts the territory for JCW. He hated it.
And of course, this is the weird time that no one talks about in Florida because everyone. It's also an interesting thing about wrestling is that certain guys, they just don't talk about the times they were Vince McMahon because Vince McMahon was also Vince McMahon at the same time, which is like Dusty Rhodes fucked the Florida territory. The reason Dusty Rhodes The reason Cody Rhodes is on WWE TV right now is because of the Florida territory. And as soon as Dusty got power in the Carolinas, he was like, Eddie Graham, I hope you've got lube because you're about to get fucked by me.
This is all right. So they do. 86.
Also, by the way, my new thing is asking people if they have lube. Dylan, do you have lube?
No, of course I don't. I fucking hot
That's
face.
bad for you because you're about to get fucked by me.
That's good.
Thank you.
Really?
No, it was a joke. It's a classic prank from me.
Here's a classic prank. I'll threaten you. I like when people say.
I mean, you're making a joke, but that is a classic prank. I got like, of all the pranks the straight whites have brought us, that is our most enduring prank.
That is the most. I'm bigger than you, but I'm not smarter than you thing you can do, which is why don't I fucking beat the shit out of you? What? I was just joking.
It's just a joke.
It's like, no, you threaten me and you don't want to actually do it. You just want.
This is something that I was recently reminded of that I don't remember saying during some giant family argument where one person stepped over the line and said, I'm just joking. And apparently I said, and I was very new to comedy. I just went, I'm a comedian. I'll tell you when you're joking. And they.
That's good.
Yeah, during one of the many times I just.
And then that would be great if you went, not joking. Hey, can I have some salt? Not joking. Just constantly.
Oh yeah, no, I do that
Not
still
joking.
at family weddings.
Not joking. Not joking. He's joking. He said, I do. What a joker. 1986. Lawler loses. A loser leaves town match because the town wanted to start.
Yeah.
Checking IDs.
Checking IDs. Yeah. They wanted to
proms.
They wanted to start checking IDs at proms and at Jerry Lawler's house, and he was like, "I got to get out of here." Time to go somewhere else where I can just be the worst. When I die, I'm gonna make Jimmy Savile look like just a guy who was nice. Jerry.
Woohoo! At least he granted some kids wishes. I grant them nightmares. Woohoo!
Yeah, woo! I bring only pain. I'm the king of pain.
That'd be good. The King of Pain. That's a fucking sick nickname. What's his gimmick? He's a pedophile. What? The King of Pain.
Yeah. All right. Let's adjourn the new Memphis territory booking meeting. What's Jerry's new gimmick? He's a pedophile. He's already done that gimmick. He lives it.
How come he just lied down for him in the ring? Oh, Jerry defeated
Can we talk about
that guy when he was like really young.
Can we talk about how when we first started making absolute light of the fact that Jerry Lawler is history's greatest monster, we so tiptoed around it. We're like, will you hear about? And now it's literally every episode. We're like, hi everybody, welcome to the Wrestler Review. As we all know, Jerry Lawler is a pedophile.
We took like a year off of calling Jerry Lawler a pedophile. Let's be real.
Yeah, we were too busy calling Vince McMahon the worst man ever, and then we're right back, baby. We're back.
Anyway, you know what this fucking shit needs, motherfucker.
Whoa.
It's fucking. Here's what it is. The 80s.
I love the 80s. Dutch Mantell 80s is great because it's literally just I just picture him in various locker rooms with a folded newspaper under his arm, looking at someone going, "I'm going to take a shit." Like he's just like he's just sort of hanging out. There's like any territory that's still kind of going. There's Dutch Mantell in a weird red trunks and a weird beard.
Dutch Mantell's booking it. He's losing a match for their version of the heavyweight title, and it's always the third best territory there could be going. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where it's like Dutch Mantell's booking it. Things are going good because he's booking it. And and he's gonna leave and then book another territory that's almost about to go down the shitter, but he's gonna stave that off for like 6 months.
Yeah, it's basically like Dutch Mantell is the guy that like he's the CEO of the company you bring in when you go into bankruptcy protection because he's very good at making it look like you could last a little bit longer and maybe get sold. Like he's one of those things where it's like he's very good at a job that really means you're in trouble.
Like if Dutch Mantell is in your heavyweight title picture, you have 6 months. Like 1988, he wrestled some time limit draws with Jerry Lawler over the AWA title. Like that. If that doesn't tell you the AWA
boy. Yeah, and Bruiser Brody should have heeded our words because Dutch Mantell spent a lot of time in Puerto Rico, and our Bruiser Brody, what happened to him, Dylan?
He's alive.
That's right, nothing bad. Just kidding. He is, of course, murdered by a piece of shit. Dutch Mantell is one of the people that's never returned to Puerto Rico as a result. I also don't think that's true. I think he has returned, but I can't remember. I feel like someone was like, he's never returned until he returned. But Dutch Mantell was one of the wrestlers that was called to testify in the murder trial and got his summons
After it was done, right? Yeah.
after it was done. Tony Atlas tells the story of he slept on the beach because they were looking for him, and Dutch Mantell doesn't really explain where he was, and I assume Dutch Mantell was just like sat next to Bruiser's body, just like looking, just waiting for anyone to come in the room. Like I just assume 8 goons would walk in and he would be like, "What have you brought?" And they're like, "We have guns and knives," and he's like, "Okay."
I mean, Tony Atlas on the beach. It's like, why are you hiding in the most wide open space possible?
It's dark. I can explain this. I watched that Dark Side of the Ring too, and this is the thing because we didn't grow up. We're not
the sand.
No, we're not beach people, so we didn't grow up with the beach, which is we're used to like Canadian beaches. It's like a foot, like the actual sandbar is like 5 feet to the ocean.
Uh-huh.
When an actual like you go to like the Santa Monica Beach or Venice Beach, like at night, it's as black as the backside of the moon because all the streetlights are like a mile inland. So if you just are in that dark space, basically between the street and the ocean, ain't no one's gonna fucking see you. Unless they walk literally on you, they're not seeing you.
Okay.
So that's why it's actually really smart he hit on the beach. But I totally know what you're talking about because in my head, until I moved to LA and I wasn't living in LA when I saw that episode, or I hadn't been to the beach, I always thought that was weird. I was like, yeah, why wouldn't you? Okay, Tony, go hide underneath the big sign that says Tony Atlas is here. You know what I mean?
So this is just the first half of Dutch Mantell's career. This is his wrestling career. We've still got fucking goddamn 32 years of this motherfucker's life to summarize after the break.
Ladies and gentlemen, just a couple of things to sum up. One, I want to know how bad Dutch Mantell's dingleberries are based on how hairy he is. 2, I guarantee that daughter of his has some boyfriends who have some stories of just Dutch Mantell. Just they wake up, Dutch Mantell's in their room. Why do you have condoms in your bathroom? And then he just is gone. Like that's what I picture.
Sex is for babies.
What? Did you say?
If you're gonna fuck my daughter, you better get a kid out of it.
Yeah. Every time I fucked my wife, I've had a kid. I have 1 kid.
You fuck my daughter.
I'm Dutch Mantell. I fucked
a new person.
Yeah, I fucked my wife so good. I made 1 baby. She's still coming. That's how good I fuck. You better be able to fuck that good.
Sex again. That doesn't prepare you for war.
Yeah, exactly. Having sex means that I'm not keeping my eye on the doors, and you have to always be prepared.
My favorite position.
Do you want to know why?
We're both of us looking at the door. Missionary.
Do you want to know why I'm such good friends with Jerry Lawler? Because he wants to fuck kids, and I want to kill them.
Oh, God. There you go.
Apologies
to Mr. Mantell earlier. He wants to fuck kids. I want to kill them. That's how.
Yeah, that was Dylan Gott who said all of those things. I had nothing to do with it.
That.
No, it's my new character.
Ooh, character. What's your character?
John Dice Hastings.
John Dice K. John Dice K. A man who goes, hickory dickory dock. Please watch me stroke my cock. Oh, John Dice K.
I don't get it.
I'm Dylan Gott. That's Sean Hastings. We're taking a break now.
I'm going to get a kombucha. We'll talk to you in a second about Dutch Mantell's booking career, i.e. all the times he's watched Jim Cornette and Vince Russo have a fight. Suck my dick.
Dutch Mantell goes to the National Wrestling Alliance.
No.
He goes to the NWA. They quickly do, of course, the Los Desperados gimmick, where the Desperados gimmick, apologies, stuck in Puerto Rico mode. Dutch Mantell, Deadeye Dick, and Black Bart. That goes nowhere. He leaves the NWA. He's in Smoky Mountain for a couple years.
And he's so good in Smoky Mountain. He's an excellent color commentator in Smoky Mountain. It's fucking awesome. He also, for some reason, has an Andy Rooney style rant portion of the show that he does, which is very unnecessary. Pardon me?
Down and Dirty with Dutch.
Down and Dirty with Dutch, absolutely. The other thing that's very important in this period is he meets a young Steve Austin, and Steve Austin was so shitty at being a wrestler, Dutch Mantell was like, you should watch every show as a way of like, because I think, or Steve Austin was asking him a bunch of questions, and then Steve Austin just, if he is in attendance, he will watch every minute of the wrestling show, apparently. Like, that's his thing. Like, he just sits there and watches it.
Oh, that's pretty good.
And, like, everyone is like, yeah, that's part of the reason why he's so good is he's just seen everything so much. So he's just like, oh, this guy does this, I can work this way. Like, if you, and it's one of those things where you compare him to Hulk Hogan, you even compare him to John Cena and Roman Reigns, where it's like, someone who's that big in the main event card, it's a very samey match, partly because you kind of have to protect the guy. And while Steve Austin's matches are kind of samey at the same time, they're a lot more dynamic and interesting for no other reason than he's a smaller guy and he's totally willing to like get the shit kicked out of him in a dynamic way, as opposed to Hogan where it was like splash, splash, sleeper hold, or Roman Reigns where it's kind of like, oh, he's in a triangle lock and now they're just laying down for a while.
Yeah, like Stone Cold Steve Austin had some amazing matches later on in his career when he was super over, but like Intercontinental Champion Stone Cold Steve Austin before he breaks his neck with Owen Hart is like legit one of the best wrestlers of all time in ring. Not even just on the mic.
It's so crazy to me if you think about it, where it's like, if you're Vince McMahon, you're like, I did it. I've got the new guy the entire company's based around, and then for no reason, Owen Hart does a tombstone pile driver and nearly fucking ends that guy's career. Like, it's just like, why? Why would you do that?
Almost ends his life. Crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's a good thing Vince McMahon never got revenge on Owen Hart. Anyway.
Never did. So, how do you debut Dutch Mantell? You make him Uncle Zebekiah, and you make him the manager of the Blue Brothers, who are, of course, the Harris twins, who are, of course, Nazis. Go on, Dutch Mantell. Go. Get it. Let's do it.
Dutch Mantell, very excited to manage the Nazis, and then he brings in another different type of Nazi, which is Justin Hawk Bradshaw.
He just came back as just Zebekiah, and he, of course, Dutch Mantell, does very much follow the WWF tradition of, hey, this guy needs a manager for exactly 3 months. They're off their feet. Okay, manager gone now. And Dutch Mantell does that like every single time he works with WWF.
Oh my God, he loves it. Dutch Mantell's favorite thing.
Also, definitely Dutch Mantell has been back to Puerto Rico. He joined. He was the booker of the WWC.
Of course he was. Of course he was. Like, Dutch Mantell is again one of those things where you're like, I miss Brody, but my wife and daughter misses money, so let's go.
It's the same thing that happens all the time where you get quote unquote canceled in entertainment, where people get quote unquote canceled, but then everyone just kind of waits it out and it's like, who's the first person? Are we actually gonna just this guy's out, or no? Someone worked with him. Okay, now we work with him again.
Yeah. Show business is full of brats.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, it's just so annoying. It's like, I don't know. There's one guy. I don't want to get into it, but there's something Hitler? I noticed. No. I'll make fun. I'm going to make fun of something with Dylan after the show because I just don't want to get emails about it. Yeah, so Dutch Mantell's in the WWF during like the real nascent shit period, being Uncle Zebekiah. He's also just sort of popped in and out of the NWA and WCW, so much so he was an NWA WCW playing card when they were first bought by Ted Turner, but I don't believe was with the company by the time those playing cards came out. Like, he was just essentially the last of the territory guys, and he kind of just like, I assume his wife and daughter lived in a house somewhere in Georgia, and he just fucks off every day and comes back a couple of weeks later with some money, and then is like, all right, where's a guy gonna be able to take a shit?
He worked with TNA somehow for 7 whole years. Having a job with TNA is the
but I can explain that. I watched a guest booker clips with him, and what it essentially is he's just close. He was close with the Jarretts. Jeff needed a booker guy, and basically what Dutch Mantell is Dutch Mantell is reasonable, not super angry rageaholic Jim Cornette, and that he's like, here's how you book: good guy, bad guy. Bad guy does something to good guy. Good guy, like, you know, Dutch Mantell is sort of the architect of a lot of early TNA, which is really good. He's also a guy who can, because he's worked in Puerto Rico and all these weird territories in a time that was like post Vince McMahon WWF. He's like, all right, who do we have? Alex Wright and one of the Steiner brothers' boobs. Okay. Alex Wright in 5 minutes. Okay, who's next? Oh, it's Jake the Snake versus the Wall. Okay. The Wall wins in a minute. Someone make sure that we get Jake some menthol cigarettes. He will think that those have vitamins in it. He'll work better. All right, number 3. Okay, it's Vince Russo clearly worked on this one. It's the concept of feminism being shit out by a goat. We will not film that. We'll just told them we did it. Okay, like, that's what Dutch Mantell's skill is, definitely in TNA, which is he can just kind of make something from anything. His goal isn't that it's good. His goal is that it's something. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, of course. I mean, one of the major things he did was convince TNA to have. Oh, we should talk about we always talk about foreign non-U.S. wrestling like it's nothing, but he for 7 years booked the WWC, and in the world in the year 2000 he achieved a rating of 18.1 with a 55 share. So 55% of the people with a television were watching professional wrestling
in Puerto Rico. Holy shit.
Yeah. Cool.
Like, I mean, it's not that like Dutch clearly does know what he's doing when it comes to booking, in that you can see who respects him. So now, of course, he's in TNA. The Jarretts love him.
And he was the first guy, which is crazy, this lineage of TNA where it's like Dutch Mantell booked the Knockouts division and basically shamed them, he said, into having a women's division, which obviously being so ahead of his time. Like, and he also leaves pretty much with the rise of Dixie Carter in, actually taking control of the company from...
Because there's no way. There's no way a woman who had a wrestling company bought for her by her dad is going to get along with a guy who's like, I've literally killed people smarter than you, Dixie. Like, do you understand? Like, he's literally like, I stomped a baby to death because that baby tried to kill my friend. That baby would be better at running Panda Energy than you. Like, that's, I guarantee part of it was like, Dutch Mantell was like, I can't do it. It's also, I have a weird suspicion that I think Dutch Mantell hates... No, of course not.
He's a man... Dude, Dutch Mantell worked for a guy who killed his friend. Dutch Mantell got released because Jeff Jarrett had a run-in with the higher-ups and got let go.
Oh, yeah, Dutch Mantell got... Yeah,
so it was like a call. Released. It was a call of the Jeff Jarrett people.
Oh, because Jeff Jarrett was having smooches with Karen Angle? You're 100% right. I still maintain, though, that he wouldn't have gone along with Dixie Carter. I understand what you're saying.
What happened? He just basically was like, I'll book... He's just a dude who goes along to get along, which is why, obviously, he's been in wrestling for so long. He's a lot like D'Lo Brown in that way. 2009, of course, he gets back to Puerto Rico.
Of course. Let's head back to Puerto Rico again. Where's Bruiser Brody's memorial? Oh, yeah, there isn't one? That makes sense. I mean, it's an interesting thing. And then I still think the funniest part of Dutch Mantell's life story, it's 2009 to 2012. He's booking Puerto Rico. He's having a wonderful time. And then what happens in 2000? Is it 2012 or 2013?
2012 or 13. What are we talking about? Him coming back to WWE or the horrible thing that happens to him?
I mean, the horrible thing that we can talk about the horrible. I was going to talk about his return to WWE and gloss over the horrible thing that happened to him, but now we'll talk about the horrible thing that happened to him, which is his 16-year-old granddaughter was killed by a guy who was on drugs and just driving, while he was on parole, and this horrific incident inspired a new law called Amelia's Law, which, when signed into law, requires parolees whose crimes are related to drugs or alcohol to wear a transdermal monitoring device that would test the wearer's blood every 30 minutes. The bill, the first of its kind in the nation, had been pushed by Keown's family and went into effect July 1st, 2014.
Yes. And here's what they and then to get him back working again, because sometimes, we all don't know how everyone grieves in different ways. Dutch Mantell wants to help with NXT and nurture the youth. Instead of that, someone in WWE creative saw Gran Torino and pitched him Zeb Coulter, which was basically your Clint Eastwood.
And what is so good about this, and Dutch Mantell has commented about this in shoot interviews, is he was like, your fans will cheer this. You shouldn't do this. And they were like, they won't. And he was like, well, let's be wrong. And because, again, you're exactly right. And this sounds very strange, but as someone who was recently grieving, I understand where he was like, I'd like to go back to work because you know what? That is something to think about. That's not this. Let's do it. And I guarantee when they pitched something like Zeb fucking Coulter to him, he was like, hell yeah, this is real dumb. This is so stupid. How much money are you paying me? Like, it's also that thing of like, if he's helping with NXT, he's going to have to do so much more talking and work. Like, Dutch Mantell in his head, he's like, oh, fuck yeah, let's do this.
Well, yeah, that's the story. Is he says that he went in on 3:30 p.m., spoke to Triple H at 4:30 p.m., did his interview at 5:30, and was live on Raw at 7:30. For a guy like him, it's like, hey, can you go be racist on TV? He's like, I wrestled in Puerto Rico for 40 years. That's all I am on TV. Get out of my way.
Yeah.
Like, all he has to do is literally, I guarantee his 80s babyface character was I hate Puerto Ricans. His 70s heel character was I hate Puerto Ricans. And then he got to come back on TV. We're like, we got this crazy character. He's like, wait a minute, is it that I hate Puerto Ricans? Yeah, and you're in a fishing vest. All right, I'll have to buy a fishing vest. I got
Yeah,
the
I
rest.
mean, I better go fucking find one of those in my truck. And then Zeb Coulter comes out, and let me tell you this. Jack Swagger and him fucking become baby faces real fucking quick. Holy shit.
Not really quick, but people don't like the whole thing is they're basically brought in because they want Alberto Del Rio to be the actual top babyface version of Rey Mysterio because Vince McMahon cannot accept the people like luchadors.
He keeps throwing up every time he sees Ray is the problem. Because like Ray gets cheers and Vince is like, blah, 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 I get him. Oh, he's a baby. It's a baby on my blah, 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 blah. It's a baby.
Well, and also like he sees Del Rio forcing cocaine on a young woman backstage.
Oh, and he was like,
he's a baby
goal
face.
oriented. He's goal oriented. That's a goal oriented baby face.
Michaels baby.
That's a Michaels baby.
Shawn
Michaels used to also give cocaine to kids.
Not even on the roster. This guy's giving it to women on the roster. That's my new Michaels.
Make me another Sonny. Make sure that girl also does a lot of killing with a car.
Make sure she kills someone behind the wheel, too.
Oh, my name is Vincent Kennedy McMahon. I have a very weird kink. I like it when a woman in her 20s gets addicted to drugs so that her 40s are very sad. I like to read pain.
It takes time and it's good. Oh, and then of course, Cesaro. They add Cesaro. They always do this in obviously WWE.
They always do it. By the way, particularly with this stable, which is like, hey, these guys are very violent against immigrants. Let's make sure their heavy is from another country. What? Exactly. Why are we doing this?
They always do that. They did it with obviously they did with the Nation of Domination and Owen Hart. They did with the Nation of Domination and PG-13 to begin with.
They did it with Nation of Domination and Crush. They did it with Nation of Domination and Savio Vega. They did it with DX and China. They did it with, because China is a woman, and DX was very much against those, if you think about
it. And this is, so they do that to temper it a bit. But by that time, it's like, this is weird. This might be his longest run, too, as a Zeb Coulter, because they would try and phase him out of the act, but then they'd be like,
but you really
need him. Yeah.
As we also have learned from Jake Hager in stupid AEW, it's like, what's the problem with Jack Swagger? This guy is just, his personality is he's a bully that sucks. Like, what? Yeah.
The problem I have with Jack Swagger is that he's really big, but he's not strong. Do you know how many times I've watched this dude almost murder somebody because one of his finishers is a gut wrench powerbomb? He's like, he cannot pick people up. He can't deadlift a lot of weight. His arms are either I think his just arms are too long because he has very, very, very long arms. He's like a really long wingspan, but he always fucking almost kills people.
I agree with you completely. It's also, he's just not that fun to watch. He's that very specific type of big giant where you're just like, well, what problem have you had? Like do you know what I'm saying? There's sort of there's just nothing to him. Like he's just like, yeah, of course you're a bad guy. You're a dick. Yeah. You look like an asshole. Like it's just one of those things where it's like, I don't want enough of this, Jack. And then Jake Hager is worse because it's just like, it's literally like Chris Jericho thinks that Chris Jericho should look like Jake Hager. So Jake Hager is in AEW so Chris Jericho can be like, I look at him. You know what I mean?
I don't follow it, but I respect it.
I feel that the reason why Jake Hager's in AEW is because Chris Jericho was shocked that Jack Swagger didn't work more in WWE. Okay. The reason why Chris Jericho can't see Jake Hager's flaws is in Chris Jericho's idea of what Chris Jericho looks like it is Jack Swagger. It's a giant, huge, tough man who could beat up Chris Jericho's dad who was in the NHL. Because Chris Jericho wants to beat up his dad. That's very clear. And that's why Jake Hager is in AEW.
Okay. I think maybe it's just like there's this weird balance where you get a guy like Christian, a guy like Tyson Tomko was like this as well. They add something to your act, but they're in no way a challenge to the spotlight. Like when Devon was with Batista as Deacon Batista, Batista clearly was going to take the spotlight away from Devon. Do you know what I mean? Not
Yeah.
that wasn't the entire thing, was get this guy some screen time until we split him off. But like it's a very like you can come with me because you're no threat and you're just like a different thing. Does that make sense? Anyway,
It totally makes sense. I do understand what you're saying, and from a perspective that also is very possible with the inner circle and stuff like that. What I want to just return to, Dutch Mantell is sort of the opposite of that effect, in that you want to make a guy shine, yeah, put him with Dutch Mantell, but understand Dutch Mantell will be the reason why people enjoy that. In the way that like when Zeb Coulter comes back and re-debuts, and for some reason is managing,
he manages Del Rio because they realize that like Swagger is a heel, but not as much as Alberto Del Rio is a visible heel, so they try and make that work. But in doing that, it's like they can't just make, this is the thing, and exactly what you were saying, Dutch Mantell said, people will cheer this. They can't have the fucking Tea Party guy be the good guy, so they have to pivot and make Jack Swagger, I'm very proud to be an American, and it's fine no matter what color you are, even though the audience is specifically cheering him, and in one beautiful episode, cheering him and booing Al Sharpton because he hates immigrants and they hate
they really made some what I like to call some WWE classic mistakes, where it's like, we better get Al Sharpton on our program, and no one was like, wait a minute, no, we shouldn't. Like, no, there's no way. Because here's the thing with wrestling fans, if they're not, I would actually say predominantly not racist, but they are predominantly jerks. And if jerks, and also, by the way, fuck Al Sharpton. He's a fucking liar. Like, it's also that thing of like, don't put Al Sharpton on TV in the WWE context, because a lot of people just don't like Al Sharpton. Like, yes, he's a civil rights leader, but he's also a fucking asshole. Like, he's an asshole and a liar and has done a shitload of shady shit. Like, it's one of those things where it's like, it's not like putting on, like, people will put Al Sharpton in the same category as Barack Obama, and it's like, no, Barack Obama isn't famous because back in the 80s, he fought a guy on Morton Downey Jr. and was the face of a fake prosecution that like brought down a giant law firm. Like, the thing with also putting Al Sharpton on TV in the context of the WWE is it's going to look bad because your fans are going to boo a civil rights leader, and that's how it's going to be portrayed. And they're definitely going to boo him because you picked Al Sharpton, who's an asshole.
I don't know if WWE fans are remembering that his lawsuits in the 80s when they boo him, to be fair.
Yeah, but
because
no, name one.
Go for it.
Let me ask you this. Do you like Al Sharpton, Dylan?
I don't have an opinion on Al Sharpton.
This is the thing. That's so. I think a lot of people in wrestling would be like, If I
was in an arena, I would cheer him because he's Al Sharpton. I'd be like, oh fuck, Al Sharpton.
Yeah,
That's crazy. He's on wrestling. I wouldn't like boo at him. If I saw him, I wouldn't boo him. Especially
you're pretty rare amongst wrestling fans. I know a lot of wrestling fans will be like, boo him. By the way, if Al Sharpton was in ECW, they would have brought New Jack out, and New Jack would have attacked him. And that would have been the greatest thing ever.
If Al Sharpton was in ECW, yes, he would have like slapped Francine's ass, and
oh my god, no!
Francine would have slapped him, and then Tommy Dreamer would have pile drive her, and then Al Sharpton would have pile drove Shane Douglas. Like that's what the spot would have been. But that being said, I'm just saying, automatically booing Al Sharpton, I'm sure that it was. I don't know where Al Sharpton. That would be interesting. We should look up where Al Sharpton was on WWE. If you want to do that while I explain something fun about the Zeb Coulter, Alberto Del Rio thing, is that if you want to actually track this country, the United States being fractured visibly, you can do it through the Jack Swagger, Zeb Coulter original debut, because it's not like the Muhammad Hassan character where they came out and they were like, you guys can pick if this is a babyface or a heel. Let's just bring this up.
Al Sharpton, by the way, was the guest host of Raw September 28th, 2009.
Okay, when and what city were they in?
Oh, Christ.
Because has Has the birth certificate thing started by then? No.
No.
Okay. But then here's what I'm saying. Tracking how divided the United States becomes is
It's in
very
Albany,
doable.
New York. Albany, New York.
Okay. That's fascinating. I don't know. Maybe they do know a lot about Al Sharpton.
They do. It's also, by the way,
Albany is also famously corrupt. So let's
also
talk more
it's
about
New York State.
politics.
Like, I got news for you. You want to know you want to know where QAnon is? It's in New York State. New York City is the reason why New York is a blue state. If not, it is wild. It's like Ontario. Ontario, the cities very reasonable. Let's head to some rural North Ontario, and you are going to hear some shit that is crazy.
Oh, it's fucking nuts. Anyway, bottom line, what do you call it? The Dutch Mantell and Jack Swagger. The original versions of that you should watch just because it's fucking insane.
Oh, pardon me, by the way.
I
just double checked the birther thing. Birther remarks about Barack Obama's birth certificate started in 2008 and was launched by Hillary Clinton's campaign staff.
That's fucking crazy.
Hillary Clinton created the thing that Donald Trump used to become a political force in America and defeat her 8 years later. Wild. That's wild shit. Welcome to the rest of the review. Laughing and learning, Dylan.
Yeah, I mean, also we should say this. Zip Coulter was attacked by Rusev, and he was off television for 2 weeks. December 1st episode of Raw, his leg was broken by Rusev, writing him off television for nearly 11 months. He legitimately broke his femur in 2 places exercising, going to the hospital and suffering an infection that gave him a fever of 104, caused delirium, and his kidneys began to shut down. Doctors estimated he became 4 hours from going into septic shock and dying. Which
Jesus.
Is fucking crazy. And then he finally came back and did some podcast stuff. Web series. It was 2015. Obviously forms the Mex America team with Del Rio because they're trying to save Del Rio's career at that point because nothing's really worked. But once again, they went away from what worked for both people.
Yeah, this was Del Rio was days away from getting engaged to Paige and then making some very alarming voice memos. And Jack Swagger is days away from just continually to be kind of boring. He eventually he makes his last appearance in the WWE and his contract expires May 6, 2016, which is crazy. I thought it was way more recent than that. He pops in
goes
at
back
some
to Impact, motherfucker, because Dixie fucking Carter's out of there. Fucking fuck you. We got fucking Dutch Mantell back in Impact, bitch. Fuck
That's
you.
right. And he apparently is still a creative consultant, and then left in December of 2017 after Callis and D'Amore took over as EVPs. As of December 2017, he hosts 2 podcasts, Dutch's Rum Diaries and Down and Dirty with Dutch Mantell. Although Down and Dirty with Dutch Mantell got canceled with another podcast sent a cease and desist over the name. In 2019, Mantell narrated 5 episodes of season 1 of Dark Side of the Ring, which I preferred to Chris Jericho's narration because Dutch Mantell didn't really appear as a talking head in those episodes, and I find it jarring when Chris Jericho is narrating and also a talking head. Dylan,
Yes,
your
me
comments.
too. I do too. I think Dutch Mantell has a great voice for it. Also, he was narrating that 70 years into his life. He's still working. He is 72 years old. God bless Dutch Mantell. Honestly,
What a nice man.
Who, from a showbiz perspective, I look up to because he just fucking kept on
Fucking
working.
going.
He just worked and he still works.
Yeah, it's really fucking nice and amazing, and it's really good, and it makes me happy.
And the other thing about Dutch Mantell is I didn't realize how much shit that he did, so then we had to speed up the second part of the episode.
Yeah, this is the other thing to realize about Dutch Mantell. It's very unfair of him to have lived such a rewarding and rich life because it meant that Dylan and I had to work harder, and that is not what we got into this to do. Yeah. Is that correct, Dylan?
First half of the episode, we were just making jokes about how sad he was from killing babies, and then we had to really speed this shit up in the second half.
How was the rest of the review this week? First half, offensive to the subject. Second half, well-researched.
John, what's the first best thing? The first best thing about Dutch Mantell? What's the last?
Still
best
working,
thing?
baby. Still at it. He
Yep.
by like him and Jim Cornette are just guys that like getting a paycheck every week, and they will fucking do it no matter what.
That's what I
Worst
like
thing about Dutch Mantell,
yeah,
his
go for it.
body odor has got to be brutal with all that hair. Good God.
You know what I think is good about Dutch Mantell? He never was in a top enough role that anyone could ever get sick of him.
Great.
So he was always like in tag teams, and he was also an interchangeable guy in a tag team where like most cowboy tag teams, like it's these big ass rootin' tootin' motherfuckers, they're gonna punch your dick and suck your ass. But this Dutch Mantell was like, I'm gonna stab your dick, still with the ass stuff though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's the thing to keep in mind with me. I get up in the morning, I have a ham sandwich. I'm a man. I'm going to your house. I'm gonna kick the shit out of you.
But this is the weird thing about Dutch Mantell is that like he probably I mean the worst thing for him probably is that he didn't catch on in the 80s in the WWF because he could have been one of the dudes in the office forever.
No, he couldn't have. He couldn't have.
think
He's
so?
too reasonable. Like Vince McMahon at one point would have been like, "Here's what Vince McMahon would have like farted very loud in the car, and Dutch would have been like, Vince, you're gonna cut that out. I don't like that anymore."
We're like, well, I don't know about that. I don't know if that's the best idea, Vince.
Yeah, that's exactly what it'd be. And then Vince would be like, "What?" And he would have been like, at a certain point, what it would Army Dutch would have shown up. Like it would have been fine. Vince McMahon would have like tried to fart really badly in Dutch's face at the gorilla position, and then Dutch would have just started being like, "Now, Vincent, you're going to apologize, or we're going to have ourselves a situation." And he would have been like, "Pardon?" He was like, "Pardon is not sorry, Vincent. You have one more chance." And he was like, "What?" And he's like, "That is not sorry. Let's do this." And then he would have just beaten the shit out of Vince McMahon, straightened his tie. For some reason, Dutch Mantell's wearing a tie. And we're going,
He's
I
shirtless,
understand. I'm out
body
of here.
hair with a tie.
Exactly. He made a tie out of his own body hair.
This is the interesting thing, and this is what we'll leave on, is maybe this little debate we could start. I don't see him as like
debate?
a badass Rambo type. I see him as a guy who just wants to exist, and that's what he learned from the Army. He didn't learn how to kill. He learned that if he has to, he can kill, but he really just wants to go along to get along.
Oh, Art Dylan finding the
Brody
humanity
thing.
and all of the wrestlers were doing, you fucking cuck.
I find fucking what do you call that? The titties.
Humanity.
No,
I just said it.
No, more like, because humanity is like, humanity would be like he's a very even-handed man. It's more like he's much more like just he will figure out a way to live in any situation. Like Dutch Mantell's very much never mind. I mean that's actually way too real. Dutch Mantell's a great man.
Yeah,
I was just gonna say something about a war, and I was like, no one needs to hear that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time. We're gonna do Beth Phoenix next week.
Oh, I'm excited for
She's
Beth
a
Phoenix.
fucking slut.
Whoa! Dylan. Someone's at the door.
Once a
Let me
man's
get it.
been married
Let me get
once,
it. Hang on.
that is
Hang on.
off limits, Beth.
Dylan, someone's at the door.
Oh, who's
Let me
it?
get it. I'll get it. It's the truth. Dylan's speaking the truth about Beth Phoenix. No, that's not true.
Exactly. The glamazon, more like the
No.
Why are you stealing that man from?
Let me say this about Beth Phoenix. She seems like a very nice person who just seems to have lived a nice life. Like she seems very happy in a relationship, and so does Edge, and it's nice.
I'm gonna say this. You can't say excited, but I'm looking forward to. That's the same thing. Anyway.
Yeah.
We're going to learn
I
more
was
about
excited.
what it was like to be a girl who could wrestle in the era of
I'm
Layla
very
L.
excited. You know why I'm happy about doing Dutch Mantell and doing Beth Phoenix? Dutch Mantell definitely murdered a bunch of kids. But he didn't do it like after a show in Memphis. You know, like he was in a war. I don't condone a war, but he was there like he was one of the only
he was in the army. Wouldn't put blame on him.
Yeah.
For it.
It's not like, why are you doing this? You're the Freebirds. And it's like, well, where am I supposed to put my cigarettes out? On an ashtray? No. This woman's
Buddy
arm.
Landell's drunk, and I gotta do something sometimes. I'm the Freebird Michael Hayes.
I gotta get heat. I gotta get heat in this hotel room. If I don't get heat with this woman, I'm not gonna be able to work for Fritz.
Listen, there's no people to yell slurs at. There's no fucking people who are ethnic around to invent new slurs and have fun yelling slurs at to dehumanize, so I gotta fucking do what I can.
Yeah, you gotta get heat. You gotta get heat with the NLSPCA or whatever the fuck they're called.
Yeah, exactly. You know what? Sometimes I get real fucked up, me and Terry Gordy, and we start our own fucking chapter of NAMBLA in the town.
Yeah, you know, sometimes the Southern
us.
Poverty Law Center needs to get some heat going with it. You gotta keep it kayfabe.
Yeah, okay. Emmett Till was an angle that got out of hand.
Yeah.
What's wrong with that?
Do you want to know what the Civil War is? That was just Missouri trying to get some heat.
More of that next week with Beth Phoenix, the original
We'll be-
Freebird, I guess.
Whoa.
Thank you very much for listening to this bullshit. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok.
Patreon.
We don't post on there as much, but we'll start again. Goodbye.
On
Thank you so
TikTok?
much.
No, we post like 3 times this week. We put up.
Okay, good. Yeah, we post TikTok now again, but Twitter. I mean, whatever.
Yeah.
Is there a new one we could join? Is there
I
like
really think.
Pornhub?
I was thinking about let's go on whatever one the Russia's using to really get propaganda about the Ukraine war out there.
Okay. Let's
Because I was just like
Russian Facebook.
Yeah. Splooge.
Splooge? You think it's
Yes.
called Splooge?
Splooge.
Let's fucking join whatever social media website. Let's make our own social media website. I'll post on there like try not to come, and that'll be all
I was
our
thinking
posts.
I wanted to get someone to go to WrestleMania next year and just make the Wrestler Review Grinder page just to see how we can get some advertising going in that manner.
Oh, think so? People show up and they're like, "You want to listen to this podcast?" And not
Exactly. Just like, hey, what are you guys doing? It's like, we were just listening to this podcast.
Yeah, that's pretty sick. Yeah, let's make a Wrestler Review Tinder or whatever. Thank you so much for listening.
Can we do that? Oh, we have a Facebook page.
On Hinge? Hinge is the good one, right?
Oh, yeah. All right, we're done.